So after high school, college, presumably?
Yep. I went to Marist College in Poughkeepsie, New York.
Marist College?
Yeah, it's a...
Poughkeepsie's just like up...
Yeah, it's like an hour and a half outside of north of New York City. It's in the Hudson Valley.
Okay.
Maybe you've heard of Vassar College is in Poughkeepsie.
Sure. Is it like a Christian school?
It is a Catholic college, yeah, and I didn't like...
You didn't grow up Catholic? You just went to Catholic?
No, I grew up Catholic, but when it came to... And this is like one of my only regrets in life is I just didn't give a fuck where I went to college when I was in school. I mean, and I'd assume this is true for almost every...
Well, nobody knows what 17, they want. Exactly.
And my mom's like, you should go to Marist. My friend's kid goes there, rows crew, and loves it. And I was like, great, I'll go there and I'll row crew. And I went there to go row crew and be a biology major. Boy, was I off. Had my first crew meeting. They're like, yeah, practice is 5 a.m. every day. And I was like, no. Because the first meeting for like the new kids was like a couple of days into school. And I had just been like the first couple of days, made some friends and fucking partied. And I was a lifeguard on the beach and in high school. And my first summer lifeguarding, like on the beach, my first summer as a Jones Beach lifeguard, which is like a real lifeguard. You have to take like a training program.
Yeah.
You have to pass like a physical
deep
test.
Ocean.
Yeah. It's like it's real. My first year in that job was after my senior year of high school, and my senior year starting on my 18th birthday in January, I was like, I gotta fucking lose weight because I want to take this lifeguarding test. I want to pass it. So I started training like crazy, and I got in really good shape. And then that summer, oh, dude, if you're I like the only thing that motivates me is literally movies. Like I have to listen to, I write
Not music?
But it has to
not 8 Mile.
Music. See, that's the thing. What'd you say there? You said 8 Mile. That's a
movie.
Exactly.
Oh,
you were just doing Survivor, Eye of the Tiger. That's
Rocky.
Fucking Rocky. So I write to John Carpenter soundtracks. I write to the soundtracks of John Williams scores. You know, I write to that stuff. I work out to like soundtracks from like that's the shit that inspires me.
That's funny.
Yeah,
I like it.
So I got in super good shape, and then I went away to college. And then so that summer I lifeguarded, and all those guys do is run, swim, lift weights. So I got really in shape, and I got super tan. And by the time I went away to college, I looked nothing like I did like 7 months ago. I looked like a fucking stud.
Yeah.
And I'm a good looking guy, but I was also in shape. I had almost a six pack. I went away to college freshman year as a single dude who has been funny his whole life as a reaction to being the fat, sloppy dude. Right. And now I'm not fat and sloppy.
Now you're yoked.
Yeah. So I'm literally, to girls, I'm in shape, handsome, and have a good personality. Yeah. And I've had girlfriends and I've had been rejected my whole life. So I'm like not cocky at all. And I just did amazing. And I was like, college is the fucking best. My friends, I made all new friends when I first went to college, and they thought I was this badass because I hooked up with 13 nights in a row. I got wasted every single night and hooked up with a different girl.
What?
Hooked up, of course, is college hooked up, meaning like, you know, I wasn't banging all these chicks. We were just making out or fingering each other or whatever.
Fingering each other.
Yeah. Hey, man, the male G-spot is real.
It's real.
So by the end of 2 weeks, I was just like, holy shit.
I'm not going to row.
Yeah, I'm not going to row crew.
Van Wilder.
Yeah, fuck. I truly believe myself to be Van Wilder up until I graduated.
Did that movie come out when...
It might not even been out yet. I didn't. Maybe I needed Van Wilder to label me that I was Van Wilder.
Have you met Bert Kreischer since then? The inspiration for Van Wilder?
Bert Kreischer and I. So his show, not Hurt Bert, but the TV show he did for the Travel Channel. Him and I both got callbacks for that and went to Six Flags Great Adventure and shot our callbacks there, and he booked it.
Son of a gun.
Bummer. But he's a great guy. He's a really funny dude. Yeah. I like Bert a lot. Yeah. Of course we got along. There was a little bit of competition between the two of us.
A couple alphas
a couple alphas who both believe themselves to be party animals who are now 25-year-old comedians. And we're like trying to book a TV show. We're competing head to head for a TV show. And we both think we're pretty fun. You know, like we're like, oh, fuck. Yeah. But we managed to still get along despite all that.
So your intended major was biology?
Yeah.
So you left Navy SEAL, you left DAE agent. You still haven't chosen performer at this point.
Freshman year, first week of college after partying like crazy, there's like an activities fair. And me and my friends have learned that in order to get good housing sophomore year, you have to have certain priority points, which is a combination of GPA.
Look at you guys.
Yeah, I know.
Breaking down the system.
Well,
slacker style.
Well, we were like some of us were slackers. A lot of the guys I ended up being friends with were private school kids from Staten Island. Shout out to all the Monsignor Farrell kids that I was friends with. Nick, John, Ryan, and Long Island kids from Holy Trinity, because a lot of Catholic high schools just feed into a local Catholic college. And we learned that if you get good grades, the higher your GPA, the more priority points you get, and the more activities you have, they can supplement your priority points. So a lot of my roommates were super smart. I had a meeting with a priest, came to my dorm halfway through freshman year. It was like, you have a 1.2 GPA, you have to get your shit going. So I had to and I knew
a priest for that?
Yeah, because that's like their counselors at a Catholic college. It's a Franciscan Brothers. Yeah, and. So I went to the activities fair. I'm like, I got to find some activities to do. And I'm like, I like performing. I love, and at college, even in the first couple of weeks there, I was really blossoming, and like people were like, because I wasn't people who had a predisposed idea of me. People were like, oh, you're really like laughing at me and really funny.
Yeah.
Girls were laughing at me, and like, still to this date, my best crowd I can kill for is hot women. Women, beautiful women, all kinds of women. If they're in the crowd, if you put a ridiculously hot crowd of women out at UCB, I'd come out and have the best show of my fucking life.
That's funny.
They bring your game up. They make you want to try hard. I don't give a fuck about all you hipster plaid shirt wearing fucking dudes in the front.
I feel like just like normal dudes like you and me would be your people.
They are my people, and they like me more. But hot chicks make me do better.
Oh, I see.
You know what I mean? Like
I got you.
Normal dudes, bearded guys who are just come out. Hey, I'm going to have a blast. You're going to like me more than anyone else is going to like me.
Right.
And I'm happy to have you in the crowd.
But hot chicks, they
don't like me as much as they make me better. But they don't enjoy me that much.
They're your Dwayne Wade to your LeBron.
Exactly, dude. They make me play that much harder. So
you start doing activities.
So I go to the activities, and I'm like, I want to do theater. So I go over to the theater thing, and I'm signing up for this theater thing, and this is such a small event in my life, but I realized it's one of those like weird turning point things. I'm signing up for the theater thing. I'm doing what I didn't know at the time were called bits, and I'm doing bits to be like, oh yeah, theater, and I'm like fucking around because there's a couple of cute theater chicks, doing the boards.
Yeah.
And I fill it out, and I'm making them laugh, and I'm like, you guys ever do like, I can't do musicals, but do you guys ever do like comedies or anything like that? And they were like, oh well, if put an H next to your name. I'm like, what does that mean? I'm like, well, there is a comedy group on campus called the Humorists. It's humorists. Yeah. And it's a college comedy group. Cut them some fucking slack. And I was like, oh, okay, the college comedy group, cool. And then I auditioned for that, and it was improv. It was short form, and I had not really known what improv was.
Right.
But I was into it. I knew what sketch comedy was because I was a diehard, comedy fan. I watched SNL and all that shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, fuck, this is fun. And I auditioned for that, and then took my immediate. I eventually joined the rugby team too and played rugby and took that super seriously. But humorous comedy group was the priority for my. And I was like, halfway through the first semester, I'm in the group. I'm the youngest guy in the group. I'm the most confident and arrogant.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling. I'm like, oh, I'm doing. I love this. And they're like, and I'm like, I want to do this for the rest of my life. And some of the older guys were communications majors, and they were going to work in television when they graduate. And I'm like, I don't know what that is. I'm like, but they're taking film classes, and I'm like, oh fuck, dude. So I switched my major, and I'm like, I'm just going to set it up so I can do comedy. I don't know exactly how, but I'm going to make sure. And for now, these guys are my John Murray, who's now a TV producer, super funny dude. He was like, he had graduated already, but they were like, yeah, he works at MTV. I'm like, MTV? Yeah, he does comedy. Yeah, he loves it. He lives in the city. I'm like, no, New York City. And all of a sudden I'm like, okay, that's the path. So I switched to communications, and
that's
I don't
awesome.
even know. I still like made it through 4 years of school and like with no idea what job I wanted, but I knew I wanted comedy and to do comedy, and I didn't know how.
Yeah.